Welcome to Designer Discussions with Jason, Maria, and Miriam. Today, Maria is going to talk about the top things to know about AI and copyright.
Welcome to Designer Discussions Podcast with
Miriam,
Maria,
and Jason. Tune in each week where we discuss marketing, PR, and business advice for design professionals.
Thanks, Mirjam. I love this topic. I think it's super interesting because we're watching an evolution of how design is being used within these public platforms. And so I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit, but I'm going to try to cover a lot of things. And this episode is about asking yourself really good questions so that you're applying these new tools in a way that you are aware of the legal issues associated with it. So first off, what is copyright? We're not talking about copyright with a W, which means written information about your business. We're talking about copyright with an R, your rights to that content. And so first things first, AI has been in litigation. These generative AI platforms are being sued by companies like Getty Images and all these businesses because they are using copyrighted content to create these AI generated images. So it is encroaching on copyright infringement. So why is that important? Human-made content is copyrightable and can be owned by someone, by the legal government. However, AI-generated content is not copyrightable and it isn't technically owned. It's public, especially if it's on a public or free AI-generated platform. And what does that mean for designers? How does that impact you? Well, number one, if you are using a design and you are seeding an image into a platform to create the content for your client, just know that that information is now within their knowledge bank and that information will be used to create more and future content. Those open platforms are also completely searchable. So if you want to jump into Midjourney Alpha, you can type in the words of a type of project and a design concept and see if something else pulls up. It also has a nifty content visual that you can see where if you create an image, it'll give you 40 other images it's already created that are similar to your image. So your images are going to pop up, especially if someone's trying to create something very similar to you. So how does this all play out? You will actually need to add into your contract how your client is allowed to use anything you have created with AI because it's automatically open and anyone can access it and use it as often as you want. And I've been talking with ChatGPT and asking it many questions about these topics. And in some way, yes, we can protect how we want our client to use the content that was created by AI. However, you will not have exclusive ownership of anything that you've created in AI. So what does that look like? I think we need to put ourselves in the shoes of the client and think, wow, I just paid a graphic designer to create a logo for my business and come to find out it's AI generated and it isn't something that was created by a human and it isn't copyrightable. Well, then that means your logo is public domain and anyone can use it and you have no legal standing to pursue protection of that logo. You should read the guidelines for these AI platforms before you use them. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about this, and I don't see it implemented. But if you are using a platform to create an image, you are supposed to not just say, this is AI generated content. You're supposed to credit the platform that it was made on and date it. That is what your terms are if you are using these platforms. And I don't think a lot of people are in there reading these terms and conditions, but I do think as professional experts that are presenting ourselves out there, if the images are not clearly labeled with that information, then you are not doing it correctly. And I don't know what that looks like in the future if those guidelines are not met. If you read into the guidelines as well, any images that are created on a personal or free account, all of that information must be labeled and it cannot be used commercially. You do have to be paying on the paid platform for anything that is created to be used in a commercial sense. So even though you're using a open free platform to create this content, the platform will allow your content to be public to everyone. And you also have to be a paid subscriber for that to be used in any commercial way in the future. So I asked AI, I was like, gosh, this seems pretty complicated. How could anyone really protect AI content that is made as a designer and then used for a client? And from what chat has been able to say is, well, you don't have exclusive rights because you are just being given an opportunity to use the Midjourney images with the credit to Midjourney for making them. Yes, other people will be creating similar images. You will need to have some type of client and designer agreement where you set up some custom terms where you have the client agree that they will not reuse something based on the AI images that you create. However, you even have to give them a timeline because these are public things that they will be able to have access to. You need to give them a timeline for when it was created to if they can ever use it again, because technically you don't have exclusive rights to any of that. The reality is, even if you create something for them for a one-time use solution, such a fine line, because technically they could input your solution into one of these platforms and modify it, and then technically they don't ever have to come back to you. And because of those things, we all need to understand in a conservative way, how can we truly implement AI images into our design concepts without really tripping over our own feet? And one of the things that the language that we can use as designers, because I think one of the biggest problems right now is that we don't understand how to communicate to a client why these low value solutions are not the best solution for them without saying, they're going to be wrong. Something about these images is going to be off. There's going to be an issue. You're going to have a problem. But the reality is privacy is what you can pay for. And privacy, exclusivity are the values that exist within truly human-made designs that are never put into any of these AI platforms. And for value for the client that hires you, this is truly the largest reason for why they will pay you the big bucks over just playing around on one of these platforms creating content. Yes, you might have a client who pays you for something and then they put it into one of these platforms, reimagine it, and then they move forward with that concept. So anything that you are creating, make sure you are being paid before that information is delivered with the pretense that your contract doesn't protect you. And so now that we're playing around with AI, now it's been around for going on its second year. It's time for us to clean up shop. It's time for us to have the words and the guidelines to explain why human generated content is more valuable than the AI images, and that the AI images are not a true solution for an exclusive design, something that is branded to your client, something that they hope to keep private in the future. And we have to be aware that seeding our design images into these platforms are just training it to perform tasks that we do. And so it's time, guys. Let's think about this. Let's put our brains around it. Let's start looking at what's really impacting us through the terms and conditions of the platforms, what that means to our contract, and how these open platforms are going to water down what we do if we don't stand up and protect ourselves. So look at what control you have over copyright if you were to use AI. Check out that you have to label your images. On the image, you have to credit the platforms that it's made, date it, and note that it is AI generated content. Does that begin to devalue what you're creating and how you're posting it? So always remember, you can use AI images. They're great for ideation. They're great as a replacement for Pinterest because you're not using someone else's copyrighted information for those images. However, draw a line, have a guideline within your business, and know if you want to step over it or not, and where you want to release privacy and exclusivity of your designs, and where your client is on board with what that strategy and plan is. So this should help you have more awareness of what's going on and give you opportunities to protect yourself and protect your design. So don't go all in. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And in the instance of AI, the more knowledge you have, the more power.
Thanks so much, Maria, for all this super helpful information. It's always enlightening to hear you speak about these things that nobody else thinks about. So we'll see you all back here in 2 weeks for the next episode of Designer Discussions. Your business is unique and your marketing should be too. Discover how to personalize your approach for SEO, PR, and beyond to attract more of the clients you love to work with. In our Academy membership, with us Designer Discussions podcast hosts as your personal coaches, we show you how to customize your marketing. With weekly live sessions, an exclusive community, practical resources, and expert guidance, we're here to simplify your marketing and boost your business. Sign up at designerdiscussions.com or follow the link in the show notes.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Designer Discussions and all of the helpful information. Subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review, and share it with your friends. We look forward to having you back next week. For more information on the podcast and the marketing studio, visit designerdiscussions.com and follow us on social media.